Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? We are back. I got Grifka here, and Grifka, news and notes, things to talk about. We didn't get to it last show. Glover Quinn, number 27, the leader of the defense, released by the Lions. Not a huge surprise, but definitely a big release when it comes to a name people know and a player that had some great years here in Detroit. What are you thinking about that overall?
It's one of those things that we kind of talked about. It looked like this year the age caught up with them a little bit. I think as the season went on, Walker took a little more of his minutes. He wasn't playing as much. He said it wasn't a surprise. I guess what kind of surprised me was what I read earlier this week, that was that Glover Quinn actually he was on a podcast or something, and he actually said that he tried to get the Lions to release him before the season because he said he knew this was coming, and he thought he didn't really fit in Matt Patricia's defensive scheme. So he was trying to work his way out of Detroit even before the season started. So I don't know if he was trying to hook up with a team that he thought maybe had a better chance. But I mean, it was class act of him, afterwards, to put the statement out saying thank you for your time and you're in Detroit, and thanking the fans. But and just I don't know, you don't hear that story too often where somebody's kind of like, oh, please, get rid of me before the season. You always hear those stories, people wanting trades, but because they're just unhappy. But it didn't seem like that out of Glover Quinn. So that surprised me more than anything for to read that.
Yeah, man, I'm real torn on this topic because, with me, I mean, GQ, the minute he signed here, I knew him a bit just from reading up on him. He was a good safety prospect that year in free agency. Signing with the Lions, just got his jersey kind of right away and repped him every time we were down at Ford Field. 27, Glover Quinn. He lived up to every hype, made plays, led the team, just great with the media, all that type of stuff. So never take that away from him, and really thankful for his time in Detroit. But the ending here kind of rubs me the wrong way with, just the way he acted all year, just kind of weird attitude. And then, like you say, every time you saw him on the field, he was a couple steps slow, behind the D, didn't really make any plays this year. Got paid a hefty salary. I don't have it in front of me, but I want to say he's making $7-8+ million this year after they kind of bumped him up. Bobby Quinn gave him a little extension. Remember that, I think a year or two ago. And just to hear him say he's trying to leave and this, that, and the other, and I don't know. It's just I wish he would have went out a different way, than that. Or I'm curious why they didn't let him go last year. Just, I know they wanted to groom Tracy, but it's just kind of if he didn't want to be here and he had this kind of odd attitude, it seems like they would have just kind of let him go then. But like I say, man, he'll always be one of my favorite Lions, and that's why I'm having a struggle with this because, again, he's an open book. He always says what he thinks, but I almost don't want to hear all this stuff on the way out. Just, like you say, tip your cap to the city respect you for what you did on the field and move on to whatever else he's doing. That's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
I guess the biggest question with that, Grifka, is where you at with T-Walk, Tracy Walker III, man? He's got great ratings by PFF. He's been a guy picked in the third round, thought he, is the heir apparent. Now it seems like it's his time unless they go out and get another safety. Are you on board with this guy, or you think it's going to be a struggle putting him in and losing a guy like GQ?
I think it might be. I don't want to say like painful to watch him back there. It might be a few more growing pains if he's going to be like the main guy back there. But I think last year with him taking snaps away from Quinn, it was kind of like seeing what they had. Kind of, I know at one point we had talked about it. Get the guys on the field you want to see for the next year, and he took more snaps. And I thought he played pretty decent. Down the stretch. I mean, we're coming into those games doing the rewind, but there's points where I thought he played. I thought he played pretty decent. So I don't know if he's going to go back there and just become like the free safety ball hawk that maybe people are looking for, but I don't think he's going to be terrible either. So, like I said, it's probably going to be a few growing pains here and there, but still, I mean, I'm okay with that Walker taking over for Glover Quinn.
I thought he's like penciled in this whole time, but part of me too says like if they want to go out, there's a lot of good safety options this year. If they think that they can get a player that can really fit in their scheme and help them and give them that player, Walker and Diggs, like I think that's interesting as well. So as much as I'm rooting for Tracy Walker to live up to his draft status, I feel like you said that I'm not penciling him in right now until I see a little bit more, but it kind of would be nice to have new blood back there, a younger guy that can run around. He's got the crazy long arms. He can make plays on the football. Even if it takes him another year of playing time to sort of get acclimated, like as long as he plays well, like he seemed to last year when he was out there, like that could be a really good infusion for our defense.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think the biggest thing you said, like the younger blood right there. Like I said, I just kind of want to see. I mean, you've said it a bunch of times. You've seen the video. They seem so ecstatic to get him on draft day. Let's see what he can do now. I mean, he got his feet wet last year. He had more snaps at the end of the year. I mean, yeah, make sure there's like some competition, but don't be signing a guy that was going to come in expecting to be penciled in as a starter, and then when he's not, be kind of like a malcontent. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind just throwing Walker back there and just seeing what he can do.
So Kool-Aid drinkers in 3-4 years, Griffith would tell you if he's good, and if he's good, he'll tell you he's good. If he stinks by then, he'll tell you he told you so.
Well, I could tell you about
what else is going on?
I could tell you about halfway through next year how he's going to be. I mean, he didn't get enough snaps yet to say if he's going to be good or not. I mean, he had a couple picks, he had some decent plays, but I mean, you'll know by mid next year what he's going to be.
I'll know, or I'll project. You wait, for until the cows come home.
Just because everybody you say is going to be good, no, they're going to be good. And when you hit, you're like, well, look, I called them good. You call everybody good though, so.
Just because you say, oh, he made a couple of plays, you got to show me something for 4 years until you give anybody credit. I mean, come on, like you're going to be sitting there on your hands until this guy's an all-pro, and then you'll love him. Anyway, what else going on this week, Griff? You got anything else on your brain before we jump into the rewind?
Yeah, actually, a couple things. This one came up, and I guess I read something. It's like I'm sure, like I read a lot of things like you do, and a lot of it's probably clickbait just from what the title reads. But I almost get tired of it, and I know like was it Landon Collins? He's coming out. It's like should the Lions get Landon Collins? But it seems like you read a number of different spots. I know like what Lions 24/7 does this. And like I said, I know it's clickbait, but still it's like, it seems like any team that releases somebody, it's like the tagline should be like, this team releases said player, Lions should look at him, like, or even like with this the AFF or whatever, if like some guy has a decent, games, like Lions might want to look at this guy. Like I read the one like Trent Richardson has 3 touchdowns in the AAF or whatever, and Lions should look at this guy. Why? I mean, so my biggest thing is, I mean, I know besides us, there's a lot of people out there reading everything. It's like, don't get caught up. It's just clickbait. It's not going to be a rumor. I know me and you do that. You bust on me for bringing it out there, and you're always like, where'd you read this? Who wrote this? And it's one of those things, the clickbait things. I know I'm on my soapbox a little bit, but Landon Collins, I just read that one. Would I take him on the Lions? Sure, but I think what like you said, the young blood the Lions got back there, I'd be okay with that back. Who they have back there. I don't know if they really need to get Landon Collins. What do you think? Would you take Landon Collins? I mean, it's just the most recent one I read, but would you take him on the Lions, or like I said, would you like Diggs and Walker back there?
I don't know, man. Like I said, I just kind of laid it out. And if they want to go with a 3 safety set, if they think they need a little more experience and toughness back there, depending on the price tag, I mean, Landon Collins is one of the players I had highlighted on my list of. He's young. He's been really good. I think he's made 3-4 Pro Bowls. He's a physical beast, which, again, if this team's trying to be more physical and more intimidating, he definitely fits that bill. I like the guy, man. I think he could fit. I think, depending on what they're trying to do with this 40, 50 million they have available, where does he fit in that? Because he's going to be making more than GQ was making probably. But, hey, man, if we could pay him similar what Glover was making, I would love seeing Landon Collins in our defense because I thought he was the best safety in the game, not even a year or two ago. So he's got a lot left, and I like him as a player.
Okay. What about, here's another one I read as well. I mean, I know we talked about this position, and once again, another one of the clickbait ones. But Tyler Eifert, tight end, I mean, I know he's had some good years, decent years, but what would you think about this guidelines? I know we talked about it trying free agency as opposed to drafting a tight end, maybe taking a tight end later, one of the later rounds. But Tyler Eifert's one of the names out there, and it's a name that a lot of people recognize. How would you feel if the Lions made a run at him?
Before I answer that, I got to give you a good Griff Cabell. I tried to hit the Griff Cabell. It didn't work for me, so I've repositioned it. There we go. That's for the classic Grifka. I know we've talked about this before, our previous show, so I had to get that in. But Tyler Eifert, man, this guy, if you look at a lot of lists, he's sort of like the top tight end name on a lot of lists. He's really not a guy I love in regards to, always being hurt. He has decent size. I don't know that he loves football. Like when I see him, I'm just kind of like, this is a guy that he had that one big year where he was really a beast in the red zone. But, other than that, he, I don't know. I just don't like him across the board in regards to when I always reference, is he a football player? Is he a quality, hard-nosed football player? I mean, what was it? Last time I saw this guy, he had like a crazy mullet and some other, he just seems kind of like a goofball. So I think there's too many injury concerns with this guy, and he's just kind of too wacky for the Lions to take a shot on him. I'm pulling him up here. He's 28 years old. It says here he made $5.5 million on average, last year, and again, he never plays. So, like I said, I highlighted some other young tight ends. I brought up Max Williams last show. I'm looking at him here. He's only 25, only made $1 million. To me, he's much more of a hard-nosed blocker. Max Williams is, and can kind of catch those balls in tight. Some of the plays the Lions always get burned on. I mean, you got Jesse James, who's been with Pittsburgh. He's only 25. He makes no money. A guy like Ricky Seals-Jones, 24 years old, real athletic, used to be a basketball player. Those are the three kind of under-the-radar tight end names I have. So Tyler Eifert, I'm going to say no, but I think you're going to hear rumblings about him and some cost. That's why you're going to hear all that stuff. But I hope they don't overpay for that guy. That's my opinion.
Yeah, get the bell out. I want to agree with you on this. I don't even want to hear, for the right price, this guy. For as much as I bag on Ziggy for being off-injured China doll, that's Tyler Eifert for me on the tight end. I mean, this guy, like you said, the guy's just seems like never be on the field. He had a really good year a few years ago, but it seems like a stiff breeze puts this guy on the sideline. So I'm with you there. I don't want to hear, for the right price, let's give it. No, I don't want to waste any money on this guy. I'd rather, like you said, you threw the few names out there. I remember Max Williams at University of Minnesota. He had some good years there. And, in the pros, like you said, he's kind of, down the depth chart a little bit. I mean, like the few names, I'd rather take, spend money on any of those guys than, try to go after Tyler Eifert. And I think Tyler Eifert might be one of those guys that he gets a little bit more cash because he's a name. I mean, people recognize his name. So I'm with you there. I'd run from this guy, as much as possible because he just seems like he just can't stay on the field. So.
Yep. Yeah, good stuff. It's going to be interesting. That tight end position is going to be interesting, how they fill it, what they're looking for. I mean, when Bobby Quinn said I was looking for all these different tight ends last year and had all these conversations, other than his Gronk thing, I'm thinking, who was he looking at last year? Who was he banging the door down to try to get, that he mentioned in his press conferences? I'd love to know.
Yeah, but I mean, that's one of those things. Like, I know. I mean, that might have been a little coach speak. He might have just thrown some feelers out there. Just made a couple phone calls. See, hey, what's this guy like? What are you looking at this guy? What would it take to get this guy? Or, just kind of threw some feelers out there to see who was available that would fit. So like you said, though, I mean, the one that came out was Gronkowski, and everybody heard about it, but. You're right. It does make you wonder what other teams they actually inquired to about their tight ends. That might be guys they would take to put on this team to improve it, as opposed to just another body that the Lions ended up settling for. But they did get Levine Toilolo, and we might have found something with him. There you go. Becoming like an episode of Seinfeld every time, because Seinfeld, he always had a thing of Superman in every episode. So this is like every show we need a Levine Toilolo reference.
Oh, you got to play the hits, man.
Yeah.
Get it in. I love it.
So let's do this. I got nothing else I really want to cover with this before we get into the Panthers game. Yeah. Anything else you want to touch base on?
One other quick thing that was on my brain. I'm actually looking it up right now. So, in regards to our backup quarterback, Grifka, like talking about how to fill that or who's going to be there. I mean, it feels like Matt Castle's pretty much gone. You told me a few shows ago that, like, Jake Rudock is in Miami now. Like, I either missed that or I can't confirm that. I'm looking online now, and a couple things have him with the Miami Dolphins, and then he's on a couple Lions pages still. So, do we know for sure that he's gone?
Yeah, I'm almost positive a few weeks ago that, he signed with Miami, and that's when they got it was either right before or right after they signed Connor Cook to that futures deal. So that's what everybody thinks now. It's just like Connor Cook could be the backup. So I'd rather take somebody else and draft somebody than go with Connor Cook. But Jake Rudock went to Miami.
You'd think I'd know, but like I say, I'm looking at it right now, and it's like 50-50. Every site either has him with the Dolphins, or there's 3 or 4 here that still have him with the Lions logo, all his stats. It says nothing about Miami, but to me, that's kind of, I don't know if that's disconcerting or exciting because, they spent a resource on that guy. I thought, like, he had the makings of a backup quarterback in the NFL. The pickup of, Connor Cook or whatever, he's got some tools and might have some ability. He's young, he's cheap. But, I mean, do you think Matt Stafford has played now for I don't know how many years? Got to be 5+ years. Uninjured every game, all that type of stuff. I mean, that's playing with fire. That if we ever get hurt, like, who is in the wings? Nobody. Like, do you think we need to draft one or sign a guy, or do you think with Connor Cook instead of Matt Castle? Like, to me, the backup is for Stafford has always been some old veteran who can, like, help him with tape watching or something. But other than that, he's terrible. Like, I mean, what are we looking for in a backup quarterback for the Lions?
Yeah, I'm not looking for like somebody that Matt Stafford needs to look over his shoulder, but I would take somebody with like a little bit of experience. I mean, Connor Cook's been around 3 years or something like that. I mean, that would definitely be a guy I would not trust with the keys. If Matt Stafford was hurt at early in the season, I wouldn't expect Connor Cook to take that team anywhere. Maybe somebody with like a little more experience. One thing that sounds odd to you, I mean, I'm just throwing this out there, but looking at all these draft things, I stumbled across one that showed was a Kyler Murray being drafted by Oakland. That means what? Derek Carr's not going to hang around, so and Derek Carr's getting paid bank right now as well. But Derek Carr wouldn't be a guy. I mean, I wouldn't be too sorry to see him. I don't know about a backup, but
oh, come on. That's not going to happen. But
hey, like I said, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but
Yeah, but that's a guy you roll the dice on if we were to move on from Stafford next year. You don't say, hey, come on and be the backup this year and we'll see what happens.
No, that's what I mean.
He's not
Maybe
gonna
like
go
in the
for that.
future, if you're going to move on, it'd be a guy that you wouldn't take him as a backup. But, because Kyler Murray may be one of those things where he gets drafted this year and he sits this year, and then next year they get rid of Derek Carr. I don't know Oakland's, I don't know what their salary cap looks like or how much that would affect them. But, it's just something I just saw actually a couple things, and I always thought that they got Derek Carr, but I mean, like you said, you see, many analysts, throwing Hawkinson at Detroit, and I've seen a few of them throw Kyler Murray at Oakland. So, just a thought.
Well, yeah, Griff, but you're changing the question. You're going on about something like what are they doing right now for the backup? Nothing, in my opinion. They've got a project guy, which again, like you said, I don't trust Connor Cook to do anything. Well, I almost trust him more than I would old balls Matt Castle. I mean, we know he's not good, but he's there. Why? Just so he can sit in the tape room and lend his wisdom. Like, what wisdom? He played a couple years in the NFL. Like, that's what Matt Stafford likes. He likes a guy that is no good, that will sit and try to teach him everything that he can't see or whatever. I want either a guy that has some physical talent that can actually maybe go on the field and make some throws, or a really good, I don't know. I'm just tired of having the bookworm there behind him. So we don't have to talk about it for days, but it feels like we need to get past this. Oh, I want Dan Orlovsky for 4 years because he's so smart. Oh, I'll take Matt Castle over Rudock because he can help me with the system. It's just like, how about you just go out and play great, and we have a guy behind you that if you get hurt also has some upside. That'd be my opinion. I don't have any names in front of me, but take a quarterback either in the 5th round or later that has some real tools, or go get a mid-tier backup that actually has some ability.
Yeah, I would rather, if you're going to do that, I would rather go with the mid-tier backup like you speak of. I mean, if that was the case, that's what I would look to go with.
Yeah, everybody says it's great to draft one, but I've said on here before that a guy that's going to stay healthy. We don't need to go in this draft and take a 4th round quarterback and he never plays because Matt Stafford tears it up this year. It's just like, oh great, we have this guy just sitting there. So I'm not a big proponent of these late quarterbacks, but sometimes you find a gem doing that, but not too often. So Grifka, let's do this. We got through our questions and our intro here. Let me tell the people. So what we're doing is we're going to be rewinding the Panthers game today. And I was talking to Grifka about the schedule. We've got, after this game, we still got 6 ball games to rewind through. And we know that we got combine agency, we've got the draft. So here's what we want to do for you guys. We'll get through this one today. Are going to be, so we're going to do 2 rewinds per show probably. So that gets through 4 games. On those 2 shows, I'll do another couple bonus shows to finish out the rewinds. Unfortunately, as most of you Kool-Aid drinkers know, not too many victories these last few games. So we'll kind of spend some time on the fun wins they had, breeze through some of these losses, get done with the 2018 season rewind, and they'll be all ready for draft, free agency, combine review. That way after the combine's over, that next week we'll be able to kind of review what we saw and things like that. So that's kind of our plan. So we're trying to get through the games that way, finish up the rewinds, be able to talk free agency, draft, all that type of stuff. That sound good to you, Griffin?
Yeah, let's do that. That way we can start focusing on the new year.
Yeah, man. So much to talk about. We definitely want to talk about the things you guys are talking about. So we won't do any questions, any news and notes. Be strictly doing the rewinds next week, which definitely still tune into those. There'll be some fun things. We'll just keep it short, keep it tight, and have some fun. So, Grifka, we'll be right back after a word here from our great sponsors. Detroit Koolaid, we are back. Thanks again to our great sponsors. And now, Grifka, we're doing a Detroit Koolaid rewind on the Carolina Panthers coming to Ford Field. Kind of a unique, fun game. Lions have been sputtering, not playing good, had a couple losses. The Panthers come in with Cam Newton. I'm going to pitch it to you. Go ahead and start rumbling through this game. We'll get through this one fairly quickly, and then when you're done, I'll give some of my food for thought. So go ahead, Griffin.
Let's start this out. I mean, watching this game, once again, we knew what the outcome was, but so I watched a little keener eye. Seemed like even this team came out with a little more life going into this game. Panthers got the ball first. Lions, the run defense, was improved all year, but they really showed it on this one. I mean, I know we're worried about Christian McCaffrey and even the escapability of Cam Newton, but the run defense really showed up on that. The problem was the run defense was good, but once again, the Lions were struggling with defense. I believe Lions pass defense gave up 3 plays in a row for like 50 yards. Each pass was for a first down. Kind of made you wonder. It's just like, gosh, how come these two halves can't get together? And Cam Newton just kind of let him down the field using the pass. I know the Lions were trying to stop McCaffrey, but leaving those wide receivers wide open. And then they got near the goal line, the first drive, and then it was one of those things. It was just a really good play action, to the running back, and Greg Olsen just slipped off the line. Nobody, with him in the end zone, just standing there, and Cam Newton hits him for that short touchdown. Go up 7-0. Once again, the Panthers held the ball for a while there, and it was about roughly about a 5-minute drive. So that was one of those things that was really disheartening to see. Thinking, gosh, it's going to be another one of these games where they're just going to throw around the ball all game, just like the Bears game the week before. But then the Lions, offense showed up, and that one of those things we had talked about, getting carry on the ball more, seeing what they could do. He was it seemed like it was one of those games where it was one of the games he ran the hardest all year. Did a lot of hard running. He broke a lot of tackles. Saw that as well. Usually around this point in the season, the rookies, tend to hit the wall. They don't run as hard, but it was really nice to continue to see him run that hard and break a lot of tackles, make you see what the future is going to be with this guy. Another great play was where, one of your boys, Kenny Galladay, remember this play where it was actually the ball was kind of like double caught between him and the defensive back. He was able to wrestle it away from the defensive back and then, turn upfield, get a few more yards, get the first down on him. And then just his strength, once again, seeing that strength, the speed, everything that Kenny Galladay, what you've been talking about. Like I said, his learning curve is definitely a lot faster than what I thought he would be. So kudos to you, Derek, on that. Got to once again continue to give you that, give you the credit where you deserve. You've been liking this guy from day one. So Lions are able to drive the ball down the field. That drive, I made the note. It seemed like Kerryon Johnson was roughly 90% of that drive. I know the ball was spread out a little more. There was a few more passes on it, but it seemed like Kerryon did most of the heavy lifting on that. And it was a nice TD run. With about 2.5 minutes left in the first quarter, the game is now 7-7. It's definitely looking a lot better than the week before. Than the Bears game. Once again, then the defense kind of came around the next drive, and then the Panthers had like a 3rd and 5, and it's one of those things that seemed like the Lions been having trouble with all year. Those 3rd and mids, teams were able to either run on them or pass on them, especially with what the Panthers offense had coming this year with McCaffrey. And Greg Olsen can be very difficult to cover, as we've already seen with the tight end for the touchdown this so far. But the Lions had a nice coverage sack, forcing the Panthers to punt, and that pretty much takes us into the second quarter. Second quarter seemed to be one of those quarters where nothing really happened. Neither team could really get anything going. I don't know if that's more credit to the defense or just kind of where the offense was in that game. One of the guys that I really liked when he was at Michigan, Devin Funchess. Me, I'm a Michigan boy. He always seemed to have these problems at Michigan too, man. The guy just had butter sticks at points, man. There's points in the game where Cam Newton put it right on him, and he just dropped it. I mean, I think he had was it by the second quarter he already had 3 drops, and but like I said, I can take it. He plays for the Panthers now, so it's definitely helps the Lions out. Lions get defense showed up a little more, got another coverage sack, a couple more sacks there in that quarter, and then let's see, another one. Yeah, Kerryon continuing with his good game. They get the ball back, they get the drive going, and once again, they're just giving it to Kerryon. A little swing pass out of the backfield, running the ball. They're moving up the field pretty good. My boy, Levine Toilolo, has a nice catch up the sideline with relatively about a minute left in the second quarter. But then once again, they stopped kind of going to Kerryon. They had a few, these bad plays, that makes it, scratch your head. It's just like, little dump passes that the defense is reading. It's almost like they get predictable. They get in that area where they don't want to lose out on the points, so they settle. They don't try to drive the ball into the end zone. It's like, okay, we're here. It's late in the second quarter. We're going to, just make sure we get the points, and that's what they end up doing. With about 37 seconds left, they get the field goal to go up 10-7. Panthers get the ball back. They try to drive the ball down the field, but the guy we talked about earlier, Tracy Walker, comes up with a nice pick with about 30 seconds left in the quarter. From there, Lions just kind of finish out the half and go up 10-7. So at this point, I'm thinking, it's definitely a nice turnaround. The offense seemed to sputter a little bit in that second quarter, even though they did have that drive late where carry on. They started with him. He was moving the ball, but then they went away from him. I don't know if it's one of those things where the offense is, trying to get too smart for their own good. They moved away from what was working, and they only took the 3 points. But being up 10-7, I was pretty happy about that. What's your thoughts on the first half of that game, Derek?
Well, Grifka, you said a lot there. You covered a lot of ground. Unfortunately, you missed one of the most important points, and that was my first point on my sheet here. These gray Lions uniforms are terrible. Oh, my gosh. They are the worst. I remember, the Lions put out a poll, and they were like, hey, what if we had a third uniform, what would you like to see? And had all these different options. And I remember writing in saying, it'd be sweet is a real cool, all silver type look. You know what I mean? But they screwed up this gray, man. The gray with the white numbers is just terrible. The gray is and then they got the shiny helmet, which just looks stupid. The gray socks. I don't know. It's I would love a third Lions uniform. But right after I saw this one, it didn't take me too long to be no, I don't like that. Especially the white plain names on the back looks so Bush League, So I hated seeing these uniforms again. I can't wait till they go away. And, probably Rod Wood and his team thought they were amazing, but bad choice there by the Lions.
I'll take those uniforms over black uniforms. I hate that. I hate every team needs to have a black jersey or something. I hate that. Just stay away from that. That's the Raiders. That's the Falcons. Whatever. Just let them guys do that. Just stay away from the black uniforms. I mean, I will take those gray over a black uniform any day.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I liked the black back in the day because the black with the silver helmet and the blue on it kind of looked unique and different. But it's just something about this gray. It's a dull gray. And then the blue is funky too. The gray doesn't even look like our colors. I don't know. It's just something about it. The big white numbers. I don't know. Like I said, I just hate it when they break these out. I wish they could tweak them. There's a way to make it look cool, but it's just no good. So you hit on a lot of other points. I mean, just a couple quick ones. Tell me if you've heard this before. Hey, we can't cover the tight end short on the goal line. I feel like we bring that up every show. Carry on did look good, was doing some good things. I think you did miss a few, Grifka. I do have here a sack by Ziggy did it. I think you missed that one. I'm surprised. And then
I think I blocked it out of my memory.
Yeah, you probably just assume he doesn't play, but when he's out, he plays. I've told you that a million times. And then Kennard, I think he had a sack early and had a sack later in the game. So really like what he did this past year. He never blew me away when I saw him. Wow, this guy doesn't look athletic. Doesn't look that fast. But he always was either holding the edge or getting after the quarterback, which I always love to see. So that was good. I do have a note here in the first half that I like the Lions when they mix up the screen game. I hate it when me and you and others are sitting at home and it's 3rd and 17 and we're screen or draw and it's a stupid screen pass that everybody knows is coming. But what I love is when they're rolling on offense and they've been doing down the field to Kenny, runs to carry on, then all of a sudden they go play action, they slip somebody out of the backfield and get it to them, and they got the big hogs out in front of them. It always seems like when they mix it in good, they have a good little screen game. I'd love to see them keep that up. And then seeing T Walk make the pick, that really jumped off the screen to me because I don't remember him making that play. So when we rewound and I got to see it again, he really kind of was playing the back end and came forward, used his long arms, jumped over the guy, and made a great play. So I thought that was awesome too. So those are some of my takeaways from the first half.
Yeah, and it's nice that, like you said, that the T. Walker interception, I forgot about it too. Maybe because nothing really came of it because it just went into the half. But it's one of those things where we've seen teams in the past, not just Lions, but other ones, they think that there's short of time and other teams are able to drive, at least get a field goal to at least tie it. But Walker making a nice play, pretty much, sealing that, that the Panthers being able to come back and do anything was nice. So gave the Lions a little momentum going in the second half as well. Let's see, though, start of the second half. Let's just jump into here. The first thing that really jumped off the page to me was that DJ Moore. I mean, the guy had a game, and I want to cover this a little more later, but he had that 82-yard catch and run, or early in the third quarter. He just made a nice play. Is all it was right there. He spun out of a tackle, no help out behind him, and he just took off. And I believe I think Slay actually made it back there to make the tackle on him after the 82-yard run. But then, so once again at this point, you can say, oh, Mike, you're hating on the team. It's just like, gosh, it's just, Panthers seem to go down. It seems like they're going to take the lead, but your boy JD actually, reads the play really well, makes a really nice sack, and that pushed them into a field goal. It took them, the touchdown attempt away, held them to a field goal. But that was one of those things where the Lions MVP, the upright, knocked down the ball, and field goal was missed, and then Lions get the ball back. So thank you for the upright making the play, knocking down the ball again. Then the next drive, Stafford came out. He was able to pass the ball. It was one of those drives it was kind of like old Matt Stafford. He was hooking up with the wide receivers with no run game. It seemed to happen where there wasn't too much running room, and Panthers were going to be like, okay, we're going to make you beat with the pass, but Stafford was able to do that. One of those things, he drove him down, and once again, they kind of settled for another field goal. It was like the offensive plays got in field goal range, and they went all like turtle again, where they didn't really go for the jugular. They went back to like, okay, we'll just make sure we don't lose any more yards, and they get the field goal. And pretty much the only scoring in that quarter was not pretty much, the only scoring in that quarter was that field goal with about 3.5 minutes left to go. So it was once again offenses weren't that great between either one. Lions didn't have really that good a run game in the third. Seems like the Panthers made the adjustments to shut down carry-on, but Stafford was able to find his wide receivers a little more, which is nice. So we proceed into the fourth quarter, up 13-7, and I made a huge note here for you. I might have missed a sack, but Ziggy did have a tackle in the fourth quarter. Nice job, Ziggy. Congratulations. You were MVP on that play. But then right after that, was that Curtis Samuel, pretty much abused Tease Tabor for a TD, and with about 9.5 minutes left in the quarter. But once again, Gano missed the extra point, so the game is tied at 13. About halfway through the quarter. The next drive, Kenny Galladay showed up. Your boy, once again, pat on the back, Derek. He made some really nice catches, getting open with a depleted wide receiver core. And you'd figure that more teams would key on him, but they still, once again, they weren't really doubling him. They were leaving him, one-on-one. I think Captain Munnerlin was on him a lot that game. And I know Captain Munnerlin's, a little long in the tooth, but, so Galladay pretty much abused him. But Galladay had some nice catches. And actually, the Kenny Galladay TD with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, puts them up 20-13. So at this point, there's 5 minutes left in the game. Lions defense has been playing pretty well. Everybody's been pretty much held in check, except DJ Moore. I don't know where he came from, but McCaffrey wasn't having that great a game running or passing the ball. He was having some modest numbers. I'll bring those up here in a second. But then all of a sudden, there's that defensive breakdown. McCaffrey's open up the sideline. They dump it to him out of the backfield, and he goes up the sideline. It's just a huge play. I think it was like 30, 40 yards. And it puts him in scoring range again. It's just like, oh, jeez. What the heck's going on here? Cam Newton continues, pretty decent play, keeping plays alive. They get down to in goal range, and he finds DJ Moore with a touchdown with about a minute left in the game. And then Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron, everybody's thinking, okay, just kicks field goal or kicked extra point, go into overtime. But Gano wasn't having that great a game, so maybe didn't trust him, and they go for two. Slay makes the play, and and that pretty much ends the game right there. Lions win 20-19. So Lions, hold on for a win, against Panthers. Me personally, I don't know if there's still plenty of season left in the year, but I think this loss to the Lions pretty much kept the Panthers out of the playoffs. That's my opinion. Other people could feel differently. You may feel different there, Derek, but I know at this point in the season, a lot of people are like, just lose for the draft pick, but any win's a win is good for me and the Lions. So, what do you think about the second half, the way the team fought back, held on for the W?
Well, Griff, I'm going to start with one of your last comments was you tried to sneak in, Darius Slay makes the play. You go back and watch that final 2-point. The Lions did nothing on that play. That guy was wide open. It's an easy throw for Cam Newton, and he airmails the football, which I couldn't have been happier about. But, nobody on the Lions made any play there. It was just a pretty terrible overthrow by a quarterback like Cam Newton. And then the one thing I kept thinking when I watched this game was all that stuff that came out about Cam, how he was really hurt and he couldn't throw the football more than 20, 30 yards. Like, that's what I saw in this game. And this guy could not throw at all. Like, I'll go back to the first play you talked about, the ball to DJ Moore. That was a 3rd and 10. It was a little out route. But if you go back and watch it, oh, my gosh, it looks like he just looped the ball outside. That should have been a pick 6 for the Lions. But instead, it was a loopy throw, a caught ball, a terrible – I think you said DJ Moore made the play. I beg to differ again. A terrible missed tackle by your boy Mike Ford, basically just fell to the ground, and then DJ Moore rumbles and stumbles for another 80 yards, and then your boy Slay does come out of nowhere to make the tackle. But it was an absolutely joke of a throw by an NFL quarterback named Cam Newton who had no shoulder, and then a terrible tackle and a huge play for them. So everything else, you basically hit on. Carry on, got going early, didn't seem like they used him enough again. I did like some of the catches by Kenny Golladay. The more you kind of see him, and this is what I did last year. This is why I really was so ahead of the curve, I think, because I went and watched last year's games at the end of the year, and he just jumped off the screen to me, and that's what he's doing again this year. You go back and watch, you're like, man, this guy snatches everything in his area. He runs after the catch. He should be a big red zone threat. He's probably like 23, 24 years old. Absolute specimen in the jersey. So that's all I'm seeing every game from this guy again, too. It's like, how do we feature this guy more? He's just still ceiling, sky's the limit type of thing for this guy. So I felt the Lions, were able to put up enough points. They let the Panthers come down on that final drive and dink and dunk them and get into the end zone. I have here, just a TD to Samuel. Nice throw. It actually was a nice touch throw on that play. An absolutely great catch and a toe tap. But Tease Tabor again. Tease toast. Got roasted and toasted and put in the oven again. How many games is this going to occur with either Tease toast or Lawson getting just absolutely burned on the play? It's embarrassing. So, that was tough to watch. And then I have here just for you, Zach Zenner grabs the onside kick. And you know why he did?
Because he's got double Z's, man.
Double initials, baby. Oh, yeah, you know it. That's Griffith's go-to. Double initials. That's why he's good. His first and last name both start with Z. That's all you need, and that was awesome to see. So a win for our Lions. You got to love that. And this was one, they were stumbling. They get the win. Then everybody was like, all right, now they can get back on track. And unfortunately, as we'll see next week, that didn't occur. So that's basically what I had.
Yeah, like I said, I'll take any W no matter where it is in the season. I'm never one of those guys that's like, oh, lose for the draft if you're having a bad year. So I was happy with that. Just one thing I know I mentioned as I was covering the game, I said I'd bring up in a cut, afterwards. I know when we first broke down this game, even before the season, we were talking about guys that we worry about them facing. And I remember when we were breaking down this game, previewing it, the name we kept, bringing up that the Lions would have to worry about the most was McCaffrey. The guy can run the ball. He's dangerous out of the backfield on swing passes, getting open. As I mentioned that, he's wide open down the sideline, and Newton was able to get the ball over to him, and he was able to go up the sideline to get them in great field position to put it in that touchdown late in the game. But going back and looking, it's just like during the whole game, I kind of come, they put good tabs on him. He really didn't do a whole lot. And I know I looked it up, and even watching the game, they put up some stat and they look like 100 yards. I mean, he had 57 rush yards and 53 receiving yards. I mean, for the game. So, I mean, a little over 100 yards in the game total between the two. Are you impressed by that? Because they throw that stat up there. When I was rewatching the game, they threw the stat up there. It was like, oh, he reached 100 yards, and I'm like, 100 yards rushing. Then I went back, and I'm not kidding. I went back to make sure. No, it was like 57 yards rushing and 53 yards receiving. Yeah, that's decent as a whole, but I thought they kept him in check pretty much the whole game. It was the one big pass play is what he had. I thought that was kind of pedestrian numbers for a guy that we were really worried about. I thought the Lions defense did a really, really good job of keeping tabs on him. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I know when we did this originally, that was our big takeaway is how you're going to stop Christian McCaffrey. We didn't have anybody that could cover, and this guy had been absolutely on fire. I mean, I traded him in fantasy football in a league where he was like in my dynasty spot, which meant I could keep him forever as I had him at when he was in his rookie year, and I gave him up. And the reason I did is because I hated his rushing numbers. It felt like every week he was rushing for nothing. And then here in 2018, he really found a way to rush and catch and do everything. And the Lions absolutely held him here. I mean, I wouldn't totally downplay 57, 53, 110 total yards. I mean, if we have a player like that on our team, if Theo could get that, we'd be probably doing cartwheels. So, I mean, it's not terrible, but for the way he was rolling coming into this game and the way the Lions have been playing defensively, to hold him to that was tremendous. And like I say, when you take away their best players, I think that's one of the best things that Matt Pat does is he finds a way to scheme up against what you do best. And he took away McCaffrey and said, Cam Newton, you got to beat me. And he couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's just rewatching the game, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, gosh, where is he? Where is he? And then after he had that catch late in the fourth, they threw up his number, and I'm just like, and like I said, I thought it said like 100 yards, like rushing. And I'm like, did he really run that much? So I went back, and I'm just like, no, I mean, but you're right. I mean, if Theo put those numbers, we're jumping for joy. We're like, hey, yeah, crack a bottle. But this guy, I mean, we're expecting big numbers, 100 yards rushing, 75, 80 yards receiving, maybe a touch or two. But I thought the Lions defense, the game plan was really good. You have to kind of hand it to Mother Goose. I don't know if it was at this point where, Matt Pat, because I know we had talked about this. It seemed like Matt Pat at some point seemed to start to maybe have a little more input on it. The way the defense changed, I don't know if that was him saying, hey, why don't we try this, But the defense seemed to change even after Snacks in there, and I know he might have been a big part of it. But for what we thought McCaffrey would do against the Lions, for those numbers, I mean, I would take that, every time they face them and be fine with it. So, but then my next question leads to, it doesn't seem like, they're able to hold the guy that we're most worried about in check. And some guy, you might have heard of the guy, but you don't put any stock in this guy, goes off. It seems to happen, when the Lions are able to do that. I mean, against the Bears, Anthony Miller, I know you talked about, you liked him coming out of the draft, but nobody really expected him. We didn't talk about him before that, the week before with the Bears, him doing anything. Some tight end, pedestrian tight end seems to go off against the Lions because they're too busy covering other guys. But DJ Moore, 7 catches, 157 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, did anybody see that? Does it just seem like maybe the Lions, against teams forget about some guy or just don't respect him enough, and they just don't cover him? They seem to go off.
See, I don't think so, Grifka. I think that DJ Moore is basically the number 2 playmaker on Carolina. I mean, you got Cam, but then his playmakers are basically McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and then they have a couple other fringe receivers, Funchess and Samuel. And DJ Moore, man, is like, I loved him throughout the process because he's so dang young. I want to say he was like 21, 22 years old. He's physical. He goes and gets the football. He doesn't wait for it to come to him. He can run after the catch, as we saw in this game. So, I mean, he can't guard everybody. So, like I said, I think the game plan was to take away 22 there and not let him kill you in the run and the pass game. They did that. And so another weapon went off. But like I say, man, it's the NFL. I've been looking at it this offseason. Like, it's such a competitive league. Like, every team thinks they're going to get to the Super Bowl and thinks they got great playmakers. So Carolina, they just utilized one of their other playmakers and we couldn't guard them all, and he had a big day. But I don't think the Lions forget about people. I do think they get burnt sometimes by people that we don't think should be good enough to do it. But, my thing is if they can hold down these superstars, as they sort of have been, if you go back and look at it, like a lot of games where they're coming in with a big talent, the Lions that seem to do pretty well, whether it's like Aaron Rodgers or, some of these top receivers that come in, or even the rush game. We saw how good our rush defense was. Like, nobody was coming in. Todd Gurley, they weren't coming in and doing the kind of things they were doing against other teams. So take those guys away and let the second, third, fourth type guys try to beat you and live with the consequences. So DJ Moore's a stud, man. I'm starting to pick him up in some leagues moving forward here. I think he's only going to get better and better.
Okay. I mean, I see your point. But I just remember we didn't really talk about him, going into the game. It's like, hey, watch out for this guy. Like you said, I think we focused on it, and I agree with you. Get the bell out that if the Lions are able to take away the guys that the home run hitters that everybody's thinking, watch out for this guy, you give yourself a better chance to win the game than if just trying to go punch for punch, trying to McCaffrey scored a touchdown, we got to do that, or like I said, Todd Gurley, Aaron Rodgers, guys like that. If you're able to at least keep them in check, you do give yourself a better chance to win the game. So I feel you on that. That's pretty much all I got. Is there anything else you'd like to cover today before we scoot out of here?
We're good, Grifka. Got through that rewind, had some good stuff to talk about off the top. Just want to encourage everybody again to keep listening. Hit up our sponsors. That's really been helping us keep this podcast going, and we try to put anything we get from the sponsors to the podcast and keep growing this thing. So we thank everybody for that. Just hang in there with us next week. Like I say, we'll breeze through a couple rewinds. Anything big with the Lions comes up, we'll definitely talk about that. You might get a couple bonus shows once I get through this cold I've had the last week or so. And we'll be rocking and rolling into combine, free agency, and the draft. So I'm good. Grifka, you got anything else for the people?
Nope.
All right, well, cool. Everybody have a great week and great weekend. We'll catch you next week right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.